Hi, hi, hi. Welcome back to Carmilla Soul Academy today with your host, Carmilla. And today, they really wanted me to talk a little bit about connecting with our guides and our spirit guides, which is really interesting. I wasn't expecting that. Usually, before I start speaking, I breathe and I tune into what the general message or consensus is. And this is just where they kept leading me today. So before we get started, let's take a couple deep breaths and then we will talk to our guides about connecting with them or understanding better what that means or what that looks or feels like. So in a moment, just open the belly, relax the shoulders, relax the back. Steady your feet, place them however you like. You could be laying down, you could be standing up, whatever is comfortable. Connect with your feet at this moment in time. And just breathe normally for this moment in time. Okay, now take a big deep breath in. Hold it and release. The sun is popping up for me and I'm just like breathing out sun rays. So whatever's popping up and floating through your awareness, just allow it to float. It's just there. Allow it to surface. Take another big deep breath in. Hold it and release. Really feel that like motion in your body. Feel it flow through. Feel the little tinglies and everything. Alright, one more time. Deep breath in through the nose. Hold it and release out of the mouth. Elementals are here with me right now, which is really cool. Alright. And open your eyes when you are ready. Okay. So, I have a really bad habit of not watching my own videos just because I have this weird fear of myself. And funny enough, last night I was watching one of my random videos. It's This Is Your Sign Confirmation, whatever. I tagged it, trying to be cool. And I went to a specific group. I'm not going to say which one. But I watched that group and I was like, why is this so accurate right now? And one of the cards that came out was the Chakra Wisdom card of imagination. And it's really, really important to understand and remember that imagination isn't something that you lose as you grow up. It's not something that we leave behind in our childhood. Our imagination is actually our connection to our creative visualization. It's the way that we create and manifest our physical reality. So, you know the saying, if you can imagine it, if you can be it, then you are it, then you can become it, whatever the case may be. So this is true through and through. This is true for every single level. So the reason why I'm sharing that and why it's important to understand that in regard to connecting to your guides is when you understand that everything in the world is just a reflection of you, and you are in a physical body, but really you are the soul that is occupying it, you understand that everything is just an extension of you. Everything is just a reflection. Everything is just part of your consciousness. So that is the same thing for the people, places, and things that you experience, and also your guides. They are the same way. So a lot of times when you are in your mental space and you're experiencing torment or, you know, fear or very violent, you know, images and stuff like that. And this is not to override any type of um, ways in which we deal with this in a medical sense or a, you know, mental health sense. I feel like they all work in tandem, and they're all important. But a lot of times what happens is you are just tuned in, or your channels are open in your mind, and you don't really know how to alchemize the or work with the frequency that's being given to you. And what we're tapping into is just honestly lower dimensional frequencies of ourselves, which also can be placed in a higher status. So the same way we give our patron and matron deities or our spirit guides or our ancestors this kind of pedestal type thing, the same thing happens with these type of more what we would call like demonic energies, or like really negative imagery that attacks the mind. And one of the things that I learned was it's all dualistic. So the same energy that is available through the harsher or tormented sense is on the other side is love. There's an angel with that same face. There's an angel on the other side of that. There is a spirit guide, an ancestor on the other side of that. And they really, really want me to anchor in and have us remember that we are all part of their creation. We are all co-creating each other. So the way that they are co-creating us, we are co-creating them. Does that make sense? So they wouldn't necessarily exist without us, and we wouldn't necessarily exist without them. We're all co-creating each other to have a collective experience. So when you're connecting with your guides, it doesn't necessarily like who you are as a person, and you know, like your religious background and things like that. You can use that to identify with whichever guides you want to speak to, but it's not necessary. Because what you're really working with is energy. What you're really working with is the manifestation of energy that comes through in a specific form. So sometimes if I'm working with the energy of beauty and love, sure, I may get Osun, but sometimes I may get sometimes I may talk to Aphrodite, as in the Greek goddess or whatever, because it's all like a shared energy. It just depends on the preference or the way in which it will be best received by you, is what they're saying. Like they're holding up a telephone to both ears like this, and it's super ridiculous, but I understand what they're saying. So it's all just a shared energy. So as human beings, because we like things being above us, we like bars being set and things being reached, we like to extend and reach out and touch things. This is why we manifest and project these godly figures or these spirit guides or ascended masters. Into a sense, we project them out and we pretend like they are not a part of us, because we want to feel like there's something outside of us that has more power than us. Does that make sense? So we project out spirit, we project out God, we project out Jesus, we project out Bastet, we project these images outward because we want to pretend we like the illusion or the idea that there's something that is more powerful than us. And this is not to say that they don't have their own existence the way that we have our own existence, or that they didn't exist at one point in time, but it's just understanding that any and all energies are accessible to you because it's consciousness, it's energy. So if you want to talk to Maman Brigitte, you can feel safe allowing that energy to reach you. Now, this is not to say that you just go gatekeeping other people's religious beliefs or cultures, or this is not to say that you go through gentrifying, other people's beliefs and cultures and things like that. There is just a level of they're saying the word assuredness. When you reach a certain energetic level or understanding of self, you understand that a lot of the traditions or the tools or the rituals and the ceremonies and things like that are much more for your experience than they are to summon a specific type of deity or something like that. So it is you experiencing this summoning and this ritual and this ceremony through your body for your energy work, and that is what works for you, that gets you there. So it's everyone finding where they fit and finding the ways in which it's best to bring these energies into their lives. For some people, this may be only on full moons. For some people, this may be an everyday occurrence where one day they're talking to Loki and the next day they're talking to Obutala or something like that. It doesn't necessarily matter so much. And one of the things that they've been talking to me about as well is like allowing the energies to kind of like intermingle. What's funny is there are plenty of energies that I communicate with that I never thought, in a million years I would have the ability to do so, because of whatever reasons I think in my brain. Because I'm not anointed by some high priestess, or because I'm not, because I'm not Norse pagan or something like that, and these energies easily and readily make themselves available to me because I open up to them and I respond and I let them respond back. Does that make sense? So it's about openness. So this is not, again, trying to take the rich history and culture away from certain religious practices or beliefs or spiritual beliefs, etc., etc., but it's just finding where you fit. Because something that's very interesting for me is, even though I'm a melanated being and I do love Lukumi, Candomblé, Vodun and stuff like that, it has never really felt right to me in my soul. Like, it never at a soul level felt like that is my home. It never felt like it, like even iPhones and EFA and stuff like that, it never felt like in my heart and soul that is where I needed to be. And that is because I'm very, very open. I'm like, there are no type of traditions or ceremonies or rituals that will keep me in a position to believe that I must suppress myself in order to experience life. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if it does. But if that is you, that's fine. Like, I'm not invalidating that. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying for me specifically, that is how I work. And there will be plenty of people who potentially disagree, or you have the people who fearmonger and say, oh, if you work with this God without this and this and that, you're going to have all these negative energies. That is still fearmongering. That is still projecting fear and guilt into someone else's future based on your own fears and limitations and your own experiences. You see what I'm saying? So even though that energy is available to me to reduce myself due to the fear or reduce myself due to other people's standards and practices, that is not something that I participate in, and I feel pretty safe and secure in that. So with connecting to your guides, the biggest part about it is one, being open, and honestly, two, understanding that your guides are a part of you. They're an extension of your consciousness. They're just an extension of your highest self. The energy is available there because everything is energy. It's never destroyed. It's just available. It's just there. So this is how you see people channeling, deceased loved ones, like mediumship, um, deceased celebrities and things like that, coming into contact with their energy, because the energy is still available even if your physical body has passed on. There still are definitely ways and tools to communicate with someone who is no longer in a physical body, or something that was never in a physical body, like when you're channeling higher dimensional beings like Arcturians and things like that. So there is a lot of energy out there available for all of us to come into contact with, and it's honestly about finding and doing what's best for you and what feels right to you, because again, a lot of people in life are just going to try to place their boundaries and limitations in the same ways that they place them for themselves, and that's fine. But as long as you are having respect for yourself and respect for other people's beliefs, and you're doing it in a way that is comfortable to you, and that is not invalidating someone else's experience just because you're having something different, and that goes for both sides. You see what I'm saying? That goes for the people who do stick to very strict traditions and roles and stuff like that, still having those people respect people who don't stick to very traditional paths and stuff when it comes to connecting with and working with spiritual guides, gods, goddesses, etc., etc., etc. So again, it's one of those things where it's kind of tricky to get through the mind, because the brain just does not understand how you can both be these things and have these things available in your body, but also have a physical form that feels separate from everything else. And it's just one of those things you have to kind of just accept that your brain is going to have a trickier time getting over that, getting over that hump, you know. So, and one of the reasons why I mentioned earlier about kind of like the darker stuff coming through is because that is a place where we create separation, where we create duality, where we say no, this is fear, this is not something good, which is true and also untrue at the same time. Because what you want to do, or what is most advantageous, is understanding that that energy is part of you, that that energy is already within you. If you're experiencing it, it's already available, it's accessible. But you also know that that energy is responding to something that you are creating through the mind, or that you're responding to in the mind. So say that you have a say that there is an energy available and it's like attacking you based on a past guilt or past shame or something like that. That is because it is it's both like feeding off of and growing in size, but also it's responding to something that is readily available on the inside. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense, because this is something that happened to me, and it was really frustrating to try and understand for a really, really long time, because I would have these very, very challenging beings show up. And it was funny because the way that it happened was these challenging beings just kept showing up, and I'm just like, I don't know what this means or how to work with this. But then when I understood that it was because I had this monster inside that they were responding to and they talked to, and once I started introducing unconditional love into that space, it was so funny because they took off their mask and they were angels under. And it was like Archangel Gabriel and Archangel Uriel and stuff like that, like playing a role or playing a game. And that's kind of how it felt. And it's like in our physical reality, it's hard for us to think about it that way because we have such visceral reactions to our physical experience, which is right and true. Of course, we have visceral reactions to our physical experience because we're experiencing it in our bodies, and it runs through our system, and it is challenging to do so. So again, this is showing compassion for people who are experiencing this on varying levels wherever they are. And this is again why I will never invalidate mental health or seeking therapy, psychiatry, and things like that, because there's a lot of this stuff that you necessarily can't deal with alone. You know what I mean? Like, it's challenging. It's extremely challenging, and there's a certain way or a certain level in which you have to be open to approaching it. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So again, it's just like, they want me to say this over again, and I don't know why they're like really hammering this in, but it's just the understanding that they're like, your guides are an extension of you. Your guides are an extension of you. Your guides are like an extension, and what they're doing is like, I just see like these light beams, like you know how in movies where there's like a spaceship and it goes like warp speed and there's like all those lights flashing or whatever, that's what it looks like, and it's just going out infinitely. So there's just really like, your guides are an extension of you, like your guides are an extension of you. And unfortunately, sometimes our guides show up as these very scary things, because we all have that addiction to shock therapy or bullying or trying to force or scare our way out of or into higher levels of being or into unconditional love. And they're saying when you realize you no longer have to scare your way there, shock your way there, hurt your way there, suffer your way there, then these particular energies begin to dissolve into unconditional love. And again, there's a certain level they're saying, like, please understand, do not apply pressure to this. Do not apply pressure to this. Do not apply pressure to this. Because there is a sense of not everyone has the tools that are readily available to deal with this in the way that you have the tools to do. And this is not to separate you from the pack and say that you are someone who's, you know, hasn't had this experience or something like that. But this is just to say that you understand it on a level that currently we're all working toward. So they're like really bombarding me. So understand that due to your capacity and due to your level of consciousness, you have stepped into the position of a way shower. The way shower means you have the pleasurable but difficult task of going first. There are always people or beings or an energetic sequence that goes first. For some reason, this is Archangel Metatron, and he's here just like, understand that you are a way shower. You were naturally designed to go first. This is not to say that there weren't people before you, because there are plenty. Your ancestors, the people that you learn from, the energy that is readily viable for you due to the work of masters, other beings, is available to you. It is now your time to understand and know yourself as a way shore, and to have compassion for those who were in a position in which you were once in. That is what he's saying. Oh my God. I was like, really, like, pfft, but I understand. It's one of those things where you have to respect and rise into your own sense of power and your own sense of connection with the divine, that feels supportive, that feels nurturing, in a way in which you can receive, integrate, and understand. In Arcane Metatron, is like he's like, understand, and the word understand is like glittery and pink, and he's just like, understand. And understanding is one of those things that I fight, because I'm like, if I'm bringing it into the mind, that means it's become my ego, right? And he's just like, no, 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 no. You understand so that you can relay. You understand so that you can share. You understand so that you can offer and teach. And he's saying the word teach, and I wanted to avoid that word due to my own triggers and due to my own, hesitation and apprehension. So he he's just like, you're way short. He's not only saying this to me, but he's saying that to anyone who is allowing themselves or making themselves available to this energy. You were designed and meant to, during this sequence of time, to go first. And that is the best possible outcome or understanding for you, if that makes sense. Oh my God, this is supposed to be about connecting to guys, and it's like, I feel connected to them, but I feel like I don't feel like I'm giving, like, I guess in my brain, I feel like I wanted to give like a more basic understanding of connecting to God. You're like, oh, create an altar, and which I do have, which my whole room is an altar really, but I do have an altar and things like that. But it's like, create an altar and like light candles and sage and do this and do that. But it's like, when you really connect to them and you really connect to yourself, it's so much easier than that. It's really just going inside and be like, it's just a lot of times we don't like the answers that we get. We resist and we fight because we don't like the answers that we get. We don't like we usually want the information or the messages to be different. We want them to come through differently. So again, it's like, the less you resist and the more you open up, the easier it is for you to receive. Because a lot of times, sometimes the messages will come through and they're really challenging. Like Archangel Metatron right now is just, for some reason, in my awareness, he's just like, teach, teach. So the word teach is all lowercase, and it's in purple, and it has like these white little explosions happening on the outside of it, like pulsating, and it's just like, teach, teach, teach. Which is really funny. And that is one of my triggers, and one of the things that I do tend to try to avoid, because I'm afraid that it's ego, or I'm afraid that, like I want too much or something like that. I have some weird fears about stuff like that. So a lot of times when we are working with our guides and stuff like that, we don't like the answers that we get. And sometimes too, especially when you're locked into a specific religious practice, sometimes we tiptoe around our guides and like, oh, I can't do that because if I do, they're going to get mad and they're going to punish me and they're going to damn me to hell for the rest of my eternity or something like that. Which is just, if that is what you believe, great, that's what you'll create. But Archangel Metatron is just like, and we're not doing that. It's just like picking, like I can feel his energy just picking me up by my shirt and lifting me up and just putting me like way over here when I could be like way over there. that energy is very available to me. Um, so it's really interesting. It's like, honestly, connecting to your guides is so incredibly, scarily easy that it's kind of ridiculous. And we really just do all the extra stuff for ourselves and for our own happiness and contentment. And they're like, yay, like there's clapping, like they're like, yes, like you do it. Um, for your own ability to connect, for your own ability to open up, for your own ability to see, for your own ability to hear, for your own clear audience, for your own clairvoyance. You do it for you. Um, it's not to summon them, or, oh, I'm not going to answer your call unless you leave me some rum on this specific day in November or something like that. But again, it's like, if that is the reality yet that you create, and that's the relationship with that specific energy that you cultivate, then that's right and perfect and true for you. You know, you understand? But that is not the only energy or the only way that is available for us to connect. So, again, your guides are so readily available within you. And this is one of those reasons too why they don't necessarily like physically intervene or interfere, because they're saying like, we want you to know that the energy is within you. The energy is within you, and it is you who is producing it. It is you who's calling out. It is you who's connecting. It is you who is sourcing this energy. It's just like the focus really is on self and the energies that are available within self, which is really amazing, and it's really cool. This is a weird video for me right now. Because it's like I connect to my guides, and like casually, just all the time. And even when I'm doing like little tasks like driving and doing the dishes, sometimes even like, you know, taking a shower and stuff like that, I just feel so comfortable talking to them and connecting to them, and, you know, understanding the information that they have to offer my consciousness, which is cool. So it's just like, maybe I don't know how to connect to guides other than, you know, just literally just talking to them and just letting them respond. But I don't really have a hard set answer. I'm like, that's crazy, because like I just this is literally just my brain trying to inconvenience me right now. Because like I've said exactly what needs to be said, but I'm still trying to like mentally figure it out. So now you can see the difference between like kind of trying to like mentally figure it out and be like, I understand this, like my brain matter can retain this information, you know what I mean, and regurgitate it. But and then rather than just like channeling it all the way through and just being like, okay, period. It's just so funny. But yes. They want me to just say this one last time, and I will. Connecting to your guides is just one decision away from doing so. Literally, all you have to do is say, I want to connect. And whatever energy you want to connect to is readily available to you. And you'll have those sometimes. I know for me, I don't want to project this onto you, but if you are experiencing more, they're saying the word tormented energies, or energies that lack love, the best thing to do for them is to offer them compassion, because you know the way in which they are presenting themselves to you is a way in which they lack love, they lack unconditional love. They are trapped in the shadows or the illusions of a powerlessness or separation from self. And all those parts are you. They are aspects of you that are asking for forgiveness, for motion, and for compassion, and for love. And it becomes easier to offer that energy to your whole self as you move it through, as you work with it. and as you lessen your fear of touching it. So you can connect energetically to whatever guide you want, any guide that you want. Really, it's all accessible. It honestly depends on your openness, what you believe, your belief system, um, and what you believe is available to you. And not being so afraid by the ways in which the energies present themselves, because that's not to say that the energies don't come through with their own specific types of traits, or they're saying signatures. Oh, okay, I understand. They're saying signatures because signatures helps the energy become more identifiable, or like readily identifiable. So like a lot of times when Metatron visits me and I sit with his energy, I call his energy in, usually Metatron's cube will present itself first, or I will see my aura and it's just glowing pink and purple. Couldn't tell you why, but it just does. And sometimes there are like gold sparkles too that come through, but usually the cube comes through first, and then I just see all this purple and pink and gold energy, and it just becomes so easy. And his voice is very distinct. Distinct. They all have the way I experience them, have a distinct type of voice or sound. So that's like you and your system understanding how the energy comes through you and to you. And it's beautiful that they do come through with these signatures or these specific traits, because that creates an entire experience. So I know to the brain that's a paradox. How do they have their own signatures and traits and sounds, and how are they individuals, but still something that is just a projection of my own consciousness? And we ask ourselves that every day. We ask ourselves that about when we work with other people, when we work with plants and animals. How is this just an extension of me or an extension of the divine, but it's so physically, in physical form, or the way that it shows up or is processed through mental matter? How can it be so different? And that's one of the things that there's joy in sitting with, like, oh, all these things are just me, and we're all just like radiating the same thing. We're all just the same thing, but it's so beautiful to see it all pop up in this infinite variety of form. And that gives so much to be experienced, which is beautiful. And that's exactly what we want as people, as human beings, or as creator beings. As creator beings, that's what we want. As creator beings, we want to create things that are different and that spark inspiration and joy, and emotional flow. So it's one of those things that I'm also sitting with. I don't have an answer. I just know what I know right now, and that's good enough for me. So I hope this video made some type of sense. It's very all over the place and really jumbled and weird. But it's still getting posted because I had a lot of fun with this, and just working with the energies that were just coming up. So again, everything is really just an extension of your own self. You are spirit, you are the creator, you are your guides, you are your ancestors, you are your friends and family, and you're even your worst enemy. So I love you all. I hope this video made sense. Again, I have to say that again, and I will see you in the next video, which is hopefully a tarot reading, because I've been wanting to do one for a while. I just haven't. I just haven't. I don't know why. But yeah, I'll see you next time, friends. Bye-bye.